The global auto industry is being shaken to its core, and this time, it's China behind the wheel. While U.S. automakers struggle with rising costs, tariffs, and political pressure, China is accelerating full speed ahead, investing in cutting-edge tech, dominating electric vehicles, and now, taking bold steps that could cripple America's entire auto industry. A new wave of strategic moves from Beijing is changing the game. And if things continue on this path, U.S. automakers may find themselves permanently outpaced. Some say President Trump's aggressive trade policies could backfire and seal their fate. This is more than just a trade war. It's a battle for the future of global transportation. Before we break it all down, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. This story is moving fast. So, let's dive in. The Chinese government just issued a directive that all Chinese car makers dump U.S. chips and buy more locally produced chips. You may be asking why this is a big blow to U.S. automakers. Now, this is a big deal and would mean China is finally independent of U.S. control and cannot be limited in car production by U.S. sanctions and restrictions. This is going to bring about huge competition against U.S. car makers. For decades, the United States held a commanding lead in semiconductor technology, which is a critical component in modern automobiles and a cornerstone of technological capability. This dominance granted the U.S. significant leverage over global tech industries, including automotive manufacturing. However, recent developments indicate a big shift in this balance, with China rapidly ascending the semiconductor ladder, challenging U.S. supremacy, and potentially redefining the global auto industry landscape. This is very important because it changes everything about the car production industry. Historically, China's dependency on U.S.-made semiconductors was a vulnerability. Recognizing this strategic weakness, the U.S. imposed stringent export controls to curb China's access to advanced chip technologies, aiming to stifle its technological advancements. At first glance, these measures seemed poised to hinder China's progress. Yet, in a twist of unintended consequences, these restrictions galvanized China to accelerate its domestic semiconductor initiatives, turning a potential setback into a catalyst for innovation and self-reliance. In 2024, China's semiconductor exports surged to an unprecedented 1 trillion yuan, which is approximately $142 billion, marking a 20.3% year-on-year increase. This remarkable growth not only underscores China's relentless pursuit of technological independence, but also signals a broader strategy to insulate its industries from external pressures. The automotive sector, heavily reliant on semiconductors for modern vehicle functionalities, stands to benefit immensely from this newfound self-sufficiency. The global semiconductor shortage of recent years exposed the fragility of relying on a limited number of suppliers. Automakers worldwide faced production halts, leading to significant financial losses and unmet consumer demand. By localizing semiconductor production, China aims to shield its growing electric vehicle industry from such vulnerabilities, ensuring a steady supply of critical components and positioning itself as a resilient player in the global automotive arena. China's strategic investments are not confined to manufacturing alone. The nation is making significant strides in semiconductor equipment development, a domain previously dominated by U.S. and European firms. Chinese companies now produce equipment that caters to various stages of chip manufacturing, excluding certain advanced lithography machines. This vertical integration not only reduces dependency on foreign technology, but also enhances China's capability to innovate across the semiconductor supply chain. The U.S., being aware of China's rapid advancements, has sought industry collaboration to tighten controls and prevent the transfer of critical technologies. However, China's momentum appears undeterred. The nation's focus on mature node semiconductors, essential for automotive applications, has positioned it favorably in the global market. Chinese foundries are projected to become primary growth drivers for these mature nodes by 2025, potentially capturing over 20% of the global market share among the top 10 players. This aggressive push towards semiconductor self-reliance has profound implications for the U.S. auto industry. As China reduces its reliance on U.S. chipmakers, American companies stand to lose a significant market, impacting revenues and reducing growth. Moreover, With China's capability to produce essential semiconductors domestically, U.S. automakers may face challenges in sourcing affordable chips, potentially leading to increased production costs and reduced competitiveness in the global market. The trade war, initially aimed at curbing China's technological ascent, may have inadvertently accelerated it. By imposing restrictions, the U.S. prompted China to double down on its semiconductor ambitions, leading to rapid advancements and a more self-sufficient tech ecosystem. China is being very careful about expanding its car industry to other countries. A clear example is the delay in approving BYD's new car factory in Mexico. The government is worried that important technology might reach the U.S. if the plant is built too soon. This shows how China is trying to grow internationally while also protecting its technological secrets. The country wants to control who gets access to its innovations, ensuring that its advancements do not end up helping its competitors. China is also considering raising taxes on imported cars with big engines, specifically those with over 2.5 liters. This would mostly affect American car brands, which sell many large-engine vehicles. The goal is to encourage people to buy more eco-friendly cars, supporting China's dual carbon policy to reduce pollution. At the same time, this policy makes foreign automakers less competitive in China's market. By doing this, China is both promoting green energy and making it harder for international brands to dominate its car industry. Chinese car companies are not just focused on their home market. Companies like BYD, Chery, Changan, GAC, and SAIC are rapidly expanding overseas. By 2026, these automakers plan to produce 2.7 million cars in foreign countries, up from 1.2 million today. This move helps them avoid international trade taxes and enter new markets, especially in Europe. To strengthen their presence, they are building factories in Hungary, Turkey, Poland, Spain, and Italy. This expansion gives China more economic influence and challenges the dominance of Western automakers. China is also leading in electric vehicle technology. A great example is the new Zeekr 9X, a luxury electric SUV. This car includes Level 3 autonomous driving, meaning it can drive itself in certain situations using an advanced AI system called G-Pilot. Once approved by regulators, it will allow hands-free driving. Innovations like this put Chinese car companies ahead in the race for the future of transportation. By rapidly developing high-tech EVs, China is positioning itself as a leader in the global shift towards smart and sustainable mobility. The United States, in an attempt to counter China's ascendancy, has implemented a series of tariffs targeting Chinese goods. However, these measures have yielded unintended consequences for the U.S. auto industry. The imposition of a cumulative 20% tariff on Chinese imports has disrupted supply chains, leading to increased production costs for American automakers. Luxury car brands, in particular, have been adversely affected. For instance, the BMW 3 Series, previously subject to a 2.5% import duty, now faces a 27.5% tariff, potentially adding $10,000 to its price. Similarly, Audi's Q5 SUV, produced in Mexico, is grappling with comparable challenges. What was meant to protect U.S. jobs and manufacturing has, in many cases, done the opposite, squeezing profit margins, threatening layoffs, and injecting uncertainty into future investment plans. As trade tensions drag on, automakers and suppliers are hitting the brakes, delaying key decisions and risking long-term growth. In a calculated response to U.S. tariffs, China is exploring the implementation of voluntary export restraints, VERs, particularly in sectors such as electric vehicles and batteries. This strategy, which is similar to Japan's approach in the 1980s, aims to limit the quantity of certain goods exported to the U.S., thereby reducing criticism of economic imbalances. By adopting VERs, China seeks to alleviate trade tensions while maintaining its manufacturing-centric policy. This tactic underscores China's adeptness at navigating complex trade dynamics, turning potential challenges into strategic advantages. Projections suggest that by late 2025, China will have the capacity to produce approximately 25 million electric vehicles annually, with production increasing by close to 4 million cars each year. This surge positions China not only as the world's largest automotive producer, but also as a leader in the transition to sustainable transportation. The global car market, which has been experiencing sluggish growth, is now witnessing China's rapid ascent, outpacing Western counterparts in both production capacity and technological innovation. Over the years, the car industry has changed a lot, with China becoming one of the most important markets for car makers worldwide. Big American companies like General Motors, GM, and Ford have turned to China to increase their sales, seeing the country's huge population and growing middle class as a big opportunity. However, this dependence has its risks, especially as political tensions grow and Chinese car makers become stronger competitors. At its peak in China, GM sold 4 million cars in 2017, making China its largest market, even bigger than the US. However, by 2023, sales had dropped to 2.1 million, showing how difficult it is to keep a strong position in China's fast-changing car market. Ford has also struggled, losing market share to Chinese competitors and changing consumer preferences. To stay competitive, Ford has adopted a strategy called asset-light, which means reducing costs by owning fewer factories and focusing on efficiency. These challenges highlight how tough it is for foreign car makers to succeed in China. China's market is very attractive because of its large number of potential buyers, but relying too much on one country can be risky. Economic changes, government policies, and competition from local car brands make it difficult for American automakers to maintain their success. The recent decline in US car sales in China is a warning that putting too much focus on one market, especially one as complex as China, can be dangerous. The trade war between the US and China became serious in 2018 when the US government, led by President Trump, put tariffs on Chinese goods. Now that Trump is president again, he is intensifying efforts to put more tariffs on not just China but every other country, including close allies. The US accused China of unfair trade practices, such as forcing American companies to share technology, stealing ideas, and giving government support to Chinese businesses. These tariffs were meant to reduce the US trade deficit, bring factory jobs back to America, and slow down China's economic rise. China responded by adding tariffs on American products, especially in industries like farming. Many US farmers, who sold a lot of crops to China, suffered big losses. At first, people thought the US had the advantage because of its strong economy. However, China's ability to handle these tariffs and fight back showed that its economy was stronger than many expected. The trade war had a big impact on the car industry. Since US car makers depended a lot on selling in China, the tariffs made their cars more expensive and less competitive. China also added tariffs on American-made cars, making it even harder for US companies to sell there. Companies like BYD, NIO, and XPeng have emerged as serious competitors in the EV sector, challenging traditional US automakers like Tesla, Ford, and GM. With strong government support, China has rapidly expanded its EV market, surpassing the US in both production and adoption. The Chinese government's investment in infrastructure, battery technology, and renewable energy has positioned the country as a leader in green technology. BYD, in particular, has showcased China's manufacturing prowess. The company has constructed a massive EV factory in Zhengzhou, spanning 50 square miles, larger than San Francisco. This facility includes amenities such as a football ground and recreational facilities, underscoring the scale of China's industrial ambitions. Designed to produce over 1 million vehicles annually, this factory aims to alleviate past issues with production capacity and lengthy wait times for BYD vehicles. Furthermore, BYD has unveiled an ultra-fast EV charging system capable of providing a full charge within 5 to 8 minutes, comparable to refueling a gasoline vehicle. The company plans to build over 4,000 of these new charging stations across China, enhancing the infrastructure necessary for widespread EV adoption. BYD's unveiling of its Super E platform, capable of adding 470 kilometers in range with just a 5-minute charge, is a testament to this progress. This breakthrough addresses consumer concerns about charging time and range anxiety, giving Chinese automakers a competitive edge. The rapid rise of China's manufacturing capabilities, particularly in the automotive sector, has significant implications for global trade dynamics. As China continues to innovate and expand its market share, traditional automotive powerhouses like the US face increasing pressure to adapt and compete in this evolving landscape. We have more updates coming up on China's massive response against Donald Trump's tariffs. Make sure you are subscribed to get more updates.